What's up, guys? Matt Gaetz doing what he promised. I love a person that keeps their word. He just announced that he's trying to oust McCarthy from the speaker chair, man. Trying to take the gavel from him. Man, so he did a little mini press conference after that. So let's break it down.
Mr. Gaetz, how many Republicans do you have with you in this effort?
Well, I have enough Republicans where at this point next week, one of two things will happen. Kevin McCarthy won't be the Speaker of the House, or he'll be the Speaker of the House working at the pleasure of the Democrats. And I'm at peace with either result because the American people deserve to know who governs them.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let her have a question.
Yeah, so you've made it clear that if this fails, you will try again. How soon would that happen?
Well, I'm not so pessimistic as to immediately accept that it'll fail. I think that's the likely outcome. But, you know, this won't be the only time. That's probably all I'll say on that.
Has the Speaker talked to you, reached out to you at all in any way, touched you on the floor just now?
Yeah, he hasn't talked to me since he appointed me to the National Defense Conference Committee, and we talked about some of our aligned defense priorities, but that was some weeks ago.
What do you think it means that there's a number of Republicans now that say they're keeping an open mind to the motion of vacate?
Well, I hold no malice toward any Republican who doesn't support the motion to vacate. I believe the basis for the motion to vacate is Kevin McCarthy's repeated breach of the agreement that he made in January. Just look at the breach that we've seen over the last few weeks. He blew past the pre-COVID spending top line he agreed to. He put a bill on the floor to fund the entire government without 72 hours to review it in violation of the agreement he made. He said that there would never be a bill on the floor of the House that spent more than $100 million without the opportunity for amendment. And yet, the last continuing resolution violated that agreement as well. He also agreed to a rule that he would never use the Democrats to roll a majority of the majority. But in the last vote on Ukraine, we had a majority of the majority vote no, and yet that was not something that the leadership honored. They used Democrat votes to send more money to Ukraine. And maybe the last straw for me was learning that Kevin McCarthy had created a secret side deal with President Biden on Ukraine while we were in the middle of this government funding battle. A secret side deal on Ukraine is not what the American people want to see out of a Republican speaker.
Sounds about right to me. It sounds fair to me. If you're a man of your word and you say you're supposed to do certain things and not do certain things, then you should do those things that you're supposed to do and not do the things that you signed that you said you wouldn't do. Again, Kevin McCarthy's a snake, ladies and gentlemen, and Matt Gaetz is a man of principle. I'm not saying he's perfect and all this other stuff, but hey, he's doing the country's work, man, and he's got millions of people behind him. You are about to find out very, very quickly, and including these dumb line of questions, and you can tell they are all on Kevin McCarthy's side. All these guys are leftists, man, that are interviewing him, and some Fox News people or whatever. But there's no independent journalists here, I don't think. If there is, let me know. But they're all part of the machine, man. You know, Fox News is not America First anymore. You know what I mean? They're part of the woke agenda too, the uniparty. And Matt Gaetz said, "Look, man, I didn't come here to sign CRs, continuous resolutions. I didn't come here to do that." And that's why he held his feet to the fire since January. He said, "Look, I don't trust this guy. He's going to blah blah blah." And he did exactly what Matt Gaetz didn't want him to be the leader, because he knew he's a snake. He knew exactly what he would do, and he said, "Well, look, that's why I want one vote to vacate the chair." And that's exactly what he's doing. He's calling them out, and I love it. Now listen to these idiots in the media.
He denied that.
If it's likely to fail as you expected, what did you accomplish?
Well, I think the American people deserve to know the coalition that really governs them. And Kevin McCarthy likes to pretend that he makes coalition with conservatives. But all he really does is break his word with conservatives. The coalition that really runs this country is the uniparty. It is the Biden, McCarthy, Jeffries government, and that is what we will demonstrate with this vote.
If you succeed, who are you going to have? Who do you
suspect that he made a side deal on Ukraine with Biden?
Well, because Joe Biden said he made a side deal. House Democrats said he made a side deal. And when the Speaker's office was asked about a side deal, they made some opaque reference to wanting to support Ukraine and do border funding. And as I said in my remarks on the floor earlier today, regardless of how you feel about Ukraine money or border money, these two things should not be lumped together. They deserve their own dignity and their own vote. And the people are tired of seeing the ways of Washington that jam everything together in order to really frustrate actual legislation.
He's absolutely right about the uniparty. He's absolutely right about the Biden, Jeffries, McCarthy party. That's what they're doing. They're working together. You know what I mean? Again, Kevin McCarthy's a snake, and Matt Gaetz is calling him out on it. And a bunch of Americans know it too, and the Freedom Caucus know it. Everybody knows it.
If you succeed, there's going to be. If you succeed, McCarthy's almost certainly going to put himself up as a candidate for speaker again, and that may mean there's no one who can get 218 votes. Are you prepared to go through that possibility with no one getting 218 votes?
Well, I would think that if it took Kevin McCarthy 15 rounds to become speaker, and after 8 months of a failed speakership, and after a successful removal vote, as your hypothesis would portend, that he would take a hint.
That's a perfect answer. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Do you have someone?
I'm not talking to any Democrats about this. If it were serious, they'd be trying to convince
Look, I have made no deal with Democrats because I believe that Democrats should vote against Kevin McCarthy for free. It's Kevin McCarthy who's out there offering deals to Democrats. So if there's a deal made with Democrats, the only deal is to make one with McCarthy, because I'm not offering anything and won't offer anything. And by the way, if the Democrats want to own Kevin McCarthy, they can have it. Because one thing I'm at peace with is when we stand here a week from now, I won't own Kevin McCarthy anymore. He won't belong to me. So if the Democrats want to adopt him, they can adopt him.
Preach, Matt. I'm the same way with the president or the guy that's in office right now. That dude ain't my president. You know what I mean? You guys can vote him in all you want. And what he's doing here, obviously he's not going to get voted out, Kevin McCarthy, okay? He's not. But what he's doing is he's doing a couple things. Number one is he's calling him on his BS, which Kevin McCarthy doesn't like it. You know what I mean? He's shining the light right on Kevin McCarthy's lies and backstabbing and all this other stuff and turning his back on his country. But number two, he's going to call out the rhinos and the the America Last Republicans in the party. If you vote for Kevin McCarthy, then either you're bought and paid for or you hate this country. Because that guy's not for us.
If you're successful, who would be your alternative? Who would you be putting up there if you're successful?
Look, our number 2 is Steve Scalise. I think very highly of Steve Scalise. I would vote for Steve Scalise. I would probably vote for at least 100 Republicans in our caucus and maybe 100 other Americans out there who wouldn't necessarily need to be a member of the body to be considered for the speakership. But I am not going to pass over Steve Scalise just because he has blood cancer and is going through treatment.
What would you say to members who have worked so hard to try and get these appropriation bills through? That's finally happening. Now they say they don't want to be distracted from that. What do you say to those members who don't want to vote against McCarthy for that reason?
That was such a stupid question. Do you notice the line of questionings, man, from the left wing, lamestream liberal media? If you know dang on well, if the left and the media are protecting Kevin McCarthy, you already know he's a snake. You know what I mean? Matt Gaetz is the bad guy right now to these people. You know what I mean? He's the absolute bad guy. And when it comes to time to vote, you think Democrats are going to vote Kevin McCarthy out? Because they could, because he's a Republican. All 200 and something of them, I think 211 or 12 Democrats in the House can just vote against him. You know what I mean? All of them, and then a few Republicans, and they got him. They got their 218. But they won't. You know what I mean? Now, again, of course, the Republicans will vote another Republican in, but they got the exact guy they want. The Democrats have the exact person they want. He's second best to Jeffries.
Well, mostly I would say you're welcome, because we weren't endeavoring on the appropriations process earnestly until we held a political gun to the Speaker's head last week. We left for a 6-week vacation, and we'd only passed one of our appropriations bills, the Veterans Bill. If Kevin McCarthy was serious about appropriations, we'd have been here all of July, we would have been here in August, and we would have been doing the people's work, passing their budget. The American people are tired of Washington, D.C. not having a budget, running $2 trillion annual deficits, sitting atop a $33 trillion debt. And if this country's going down, I'm going down fighting. I'll give you a follow-up.
I mean, it's happening now, right? Y'all were supposed to be back home in your districts. That hasn't happened. There are appropriation bills on the calendar. I know it might have taken a while to get here, but you're here. And so what do you say to your colleagues who say we can't support this because we want to get this done? We want to get the government funded.
Well, I would suggest if we were real serious about that process, we wouldn't be having 4-day work weeks. I mean, we started votes tonight at 6:30 p.m. on a Monday. Most Americans don't start work at 6:30 p.m. on a Monday and end a few hours later, right? So I don't believe that the level of effort that you're seeing out of the Congress this week is reflective of the momentum that we had built previously.
Exactly. Most of these congressmen are stealing money in there, man. They're not doing nothing. They're on their phones. They're messing around. They're not really working. These guys should be working 18-hour days. They have this country in their hands. People's paychecks and all these different laws and everything else that make this economy go or this country go is in their hands. And they just sit on their hands because they're lazy as hell.
But you're going to need Democrats. You're going to need Democrats to vote with you to oust McCarthy, and you're criticizing McCarthy for having to potentially need Democrats to keep him in the job. I mean, aren't you pretty much doing the exact same thing here?
Mono, the yellow brick road of working with Democrats has been paved, constructed, engineered, and architected by Kevin McCarthy. Look no further than the debt limit deal, a deal he passed with Democrats. Look no further than the last continuing resolution, which he passed with Democrats. And by the way, if he's able to stay in power, it will be him working for the Democrats, continuing to do their bidding. So this is a revealing exercise, and I think it'll show the country who's really in
Just
charge.
to follow up on that, though, most Republicans still do support McCarthy. So why bring this up if you don't have the support of most of your conference?
Well, he doesn't have my support anymore, and he doesn't have the support of a requisite number of Republicans to continue as the Republican Speaker. Now, he may continue as the House Speaker, and he may continue as a Speaker of the Democrats and some sort of uniparty coalition, but he is not going to be a Speaker in power as a consequence of Republican votes based on the number of people who are going to be with me.
Is this like a personal disagreement you have with McCarthy, or is this solely just...
Either these reporters are stupid as hell or they're biased as hell. He just told you why he's doing it. He laid out everything. He didn't say nothing personal. He laid it out from A to Z. And you still ask him that? You don't ask him any questions about the things that he laid out. You're going to ask him, are you trying to get him out because it's personal? Man, come on.
You know, it's so funny that I come out here, and I've been doing this for a great number of days with all of you, and I lay out in Technicolor the specific areas of breach of the agreement, breaching the 72-hour rule, breaching the suspension rule, blowing past the top lines, not passing single subject spending bills, and yet the McCarthy operation continues to try to make this some sort of personal beef. No one seems to be real eager in engaging me on the substance of my argument, which is that we need single subject spending bills, we need to return to pre-COVID spending. But some people try to make every policy disagreement personal because they are so personally embarrassed from their own failures. And so this has nothing to do with a personality. This has to do with breach of an agreement. I laid that breach out weeks ago. I stood on the floor. You all covered it. And I said, these are the areas of breach. They have to be rectified. Instead of getting any sincere effort to resolve that, you know, we heard the speaker's profanity and his bluster, and that's simply not strong leadership.
Do you believe that
I'll go to Rachel next.
Mr. Gaetz, are you concerned that some conservatives who agree that McCarthy is in breach of these promises he made in January are not backing your effort? People like Chip Roy, Byron Donalds, Thomas Massie, obviously somebody who tried to oust Boehner, says that this could backfire on conservatives. Are you worried about that pressure and that fracture in conservatives actually undercutting you?
Chip Roy and Thomas Massie, we all want to get to the same place. We all want to have less spending. We want to return to the budget process that is in law. And I hold no ill will toward them if they make a different tactical choice than I've made. So if my dear friends, who I agree with on almost everything, Mr. Roy and Mr. Perry and Mr. Massey, want to own Kevin McCarthy, then that can be their choice, and they can make whatever choice they'd like.
Yeah, that was just a nice way of saying, if you vote for Kevin McCarthy, you're showing everybody you're a rhino or you're America last. You know, some people won't be affected, and he's right about that. But again, he'll be the Democrats' leader in the House, not the Republicans. And if you're with the Democrats and you're with Kevin McCarthy, you're America last.
Do you believe that that your fellow Republicans who vote in favor of Kevin McCarthy should receive primary challenges in the 2024 election?
Listen, some of them, but certainly not all of them. There'll be a number of great conservatives and friends of mine who do vote with Speaker McCarthy. I don't have confidence in him anymore, and I think a requisite number of Republicans have lost confidence, such that the only way he'll be able to stay in power is by working for the Democrats. Go ahead, ma'am.
So you are saying, that you don't trust Kevin McCarthy. A number of Democrats right now are saying the same thing, that they don't trust him.
The one thing we have in common is he's lied to all of us.
A handshake deal right now. If you were to move forward, if there were to be any kind of agreement, what would that look like, and what would you need to see from the Speaker at this moment?
I think the die is cast based on the motion I just filed. I think the time for that discussion would have been over the last several weeks, but instead we saw the Speaker continuing to, the Speaker did not just fail to remediate the breach of the agreement he made with us in January, he accelerated the instances of breach. Like, after I laid out the breach, he went and violated the 72-hour rule. After I laid out the breach, he violated the $100 million no amendment suspension rule. So he seems to be reverting to the very unfortunate muscle memory of Washington, D.C., that has put our nation atop a $33 trillion debt, that has led to $2 trillion annual deficits in our near future, and the rapid global de-dollarization of the economy. I mean, you look at the BRICS system, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're moving away from the dollar. And just in August, they added 6 new countries, including G20 economies in the Western Hemisphere and Gulf monarchies. Moreover, you saw U.S. News say that the #1 economic trend of 2023 is de-dollarization globally. This worries me. You all get all worked up that there's going to be some uncomfortable, chaotic moment, that I'll feel pressure from conservatives or Democrats or whomever. I feel the judgment of history. I feel the weight of that. I worry that when the history books are written about this country going down, that my name is going to be on the board of directors here. And if this country's going down, and if we're losing the dollar, I am going down fighting. And I don't care if that means fighting Republicans, Democrats, the Uniparty, the leadership, the PACs, the lobbyists. I've had it. I've been here 7 years. We don't have a fucking budget. We haven't had one since the mid-90s. I am through with it. I apologize for using that word, but the only path forward here is to have single subject spending bills that can be reviewed, amended, considered, and I think that is the responsible way that our legislatures all over this country operate, for good reason.
Standing ovation. I love it. I love it. What he said about the BRICS nation and being de-dollarized and all that stuff, he's absolutely right. All these stupid ass reporters, all these congressmen, senators, all these people, the president, all these politicians, they're not thinking about our dollar. All they're doing is spending, spending, spending. They don't care about our border. They don't care about children, happening, all that stuff. They don't care about Maui. All they care about is sending money to Ukraine, lowering the value of our country, lowering the value of our dollar, putting sanctions on Russia, trying to start a war. All these warmongers, including a lot of the Republicans, which is funny because Democrats used to be against the war. Now they're the warmongers, and the Republicans used to be with the war. Now it's switched around, even though a lot of Republicans are warmongers, especially the neocons with the military-industrial complex. But, I could not have said it better myself, and that's okay to curse, man. Because, again, he's written in the history books. I'm doing the same thing. I'm making these videos so that one day my grandson or my great-grandson or whatever, my great-grandkids look at their grandfather, their great-grandfather, say, man, he stood up and did something. You know what I mean? As much as I can. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not a congressman like him. But if I was in Matt Gaetz' position, I would be doing the exact same thing. And that's why we stand up and buy this stuff and buy Bitcoin and not fall to the regime, man. You know what I mean? It is absolutely crazy. Hats off to Matt Gaetz, the #1 politician in this country. What's crazy is I just got done recording a video. It was called Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Jamal Bowman. I just got done recording it. And I was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, basically, and Jamal Bowman. I don't want to ruin it, but I'm very interested to see where Marjorie Taylor Greene is at on this. She's supposed to be America first. She's supposed to be MAGA. She's supposed to be the lady that's the little female Trump in there and representing Trump. Well, you need to be with Matt Gaetz on this one. You really need to be, man. You cannot be going with Kevin McCarthy on this and the rest of these rhinos, Uniparty, and the Democrats. You can't do that. You got to be America first. And what he's doing is America first. You cannot argue with anything he's saying, man. Those are all facts. You know what I mean? No, none of those journalists asked him any substantive questions about his actual policies and why he's doing what he's doing, this and that. All they were trying to do was go against him. It's absolutely not. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Am I crazy? Do you agree with me? Again, you can disagree with me on this channel. It's fine. Nobody's going to agree with everybody 100%, all right? I really appreciate you watching. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.